I haven't done this in a while, and I met Anna Oldak at the DDS meeting in Venice. And I stopped for a minute, heard what she was doing, and I said, I have to talk to this young lady. Like, she just struck me as being so unique and distinctive in what she is doing in regard to how she is contributing to the profession in what, for all intents and purposes, is a bit of an outlier perspective. But as you get to know her in this interview, I think you will see that the depth of her soul and her spirit is such that it just seems to be, for her to do this is just natural. It's who she is. It's the very fiber and fabric of her DNA. So, Anna, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much for having me on this interview. I'm very flattered. I'm saying it again, and I'm very glad and grateful for this opportunity. And thank you for such an amazing introduction. I already feel like getting like super
No,
sauced.
no, 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 no. So to sort of put things into perspective, Anna was is Polish from the northern part of the country. She decided to move to Amsterdam because her brother was there. Wanted to learn the language, and now she is in Amsterdam, practicing in Amsterdam. But she's doing some things to connect the profession, and we're going to talk about them individually. She created a thing called Dental Social Hub, which we are going to talk about in depth. But what she calls herself, her hashtag or her tag is at Dr. Anna Shadows, which I thought was like that's what she does. She shadows, she is mentored, but by virtue of learning to appreciate shadowing, she is teaching others how to do the same thing. It has become part of the ethos of her career, her identity. All of which brings up the first question, which is you be going beyond the operatory. Like, how did you establish, what experience did you have? What personal experience that established this purpose and identity to who you are becoming? What happened to you that suddenly this made sense, this made relevance in terms of time commitment and such?
In terms of time commitment, you mean where did this
How did you get struck to do this? You're starting out in practice. You're trying to get going in a career, and yet you're dedicating enormous amounts of time to travel and to participating with others and to connecting people. What happened? What flipped the switch?
so it really is multifactorial. I've been always a very restless person. I
Okay.
always wanted to do a lot, and no one thing was ever enough for me. So I would do a lot of sports, I would travel a lot. Every time I travel, I would like to be somewhere else. Every time I moved somewhere, I was already thinking about moving somewhere else, meeting new people, being there. But the main idea behind creating this project, Anna Shadows, um, came from very back in 2000, I believe 2018, when I just graduated from dental school in Poland. It was always my biggest dream to move to New York. I knew that that was the only right time for me to do that because otherwise I'd probably continue with their internship. I would dive into dentistry. I would never do it again. So I just bought a ticket. I just went. And during my preparations, I went on Google Maps. I went on Google Maps. There was already Google Maps. And I typed aesthetic clinics in New York, and I started around Central Park because I knew that would be, like
That's the epicenter, yeah, for sure.
that's the epicenter of aesthetic dentistry. And at that time, I was really into aesthetic dentistry. That's what I always wanted to do. And so I just started sending emails to people, to the owners of these clinics. Like me being 24 at that time, barely speaking. I mean, like I spoke some English, but it wasn't very good, really. And so I would just, without ChatGPT, create this, long ass email with a short introduction, and then saying, I would love to come to your clinic and observe you for a day or two in order to learn something, as I am in New York for a few months. Would you be so kind to let me come to your clinic?
Wow.
And I've sent probably around 50 of those, 60 of those. Maybe not, maybe it was less. Anyways, um, one of these practice owners responded to me. Dr. Pia, my first mentor, um, she invited me to her clinic. She let me come to her clinic every time she had a complex or interesting case. And so for the 6 months that I spent in New York, I would come from time to time to shadow her. And she was the first person introducing me to this term, shadowing. She would always say, hey patient, this is Anna. She's my shadow. Would you mind her, observing us? And yeah, so that was the very first time that I shadowed someone. After that, I would also contact other dentists from different parts of the world. I would just pack my bags, go to that country, spend a weekend in the city
Climate
just to
crisis.
walk around
Yeah.
and and visit the city. And I would go to that clinic for a day or two. But that was, like back in the days. I've done it few times, nothing professional. So I was a newbie, like I didn't know anything about dentistry. And yet, like these people will let me come and spend a day or two with them, let me shadow them. And I'm still like I'm still so super grateful for those people in my beginnings, because that's how I
That's how your career
started.
began. When did you graduate? What year did you graduate? Dentistry?
2018, 20,
2018. So
to
7, 8
2000,
years ago.
no, to the 2018. I finished my school. 2020, I
Okay.
fully graduated. Yeah,
But you're doing a master's certification as well right now, correct? You're doing something in implantology, I believe. Yeah.
I started masters in implantology this year. Yes,
Where is that? In where?
it's in Spain, in
It's
Murcia,
in where?
in Spain.
Okay, I know nothing about Spain other than Madrid and Alicante, but that sounds good. Sounds like a lot
It's
of
very
fun.
close to Alicante.
Okay, okay. So what's interesting in all of this is you've established your professional identity early on, but when did you realize that connection and storytelling was what drove you? It seems to be so much. Yeah, I was listening to you when we were talking before. You have well, you're a wanderer. I mean, the definition. What's the word? You're peripatetic is the adjective. Somebody who's forever in motion. And so, but when did you realize that connection and storytelling was what drove you professionally?
I am obsessed with listening to podcasts with celebrities.
Okay.
I
Well, you're in the wrong place. But anyway.
I I started listening to those podcasts about 2 years ago, and it really struck me that these people that I would see in TV only, or like listen to their songs or like whatever, um, they're normal people too, you know.
Yeah.
Whenever I was listening to the stories of their lives, I would catch myself thinking, oh wow, it's just like it's so relatable. I also had this kind of situation, or like I also been went through something very similar, and I was like, okay, this is like it kind of like it's also kind of like orthotherapeutic. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Sure.
Um, it's you know, realizing that there's someone who you always look up to, and this person has their faults too, and bad moments and great moments, and that was for a really long time um, keeping me very positive also, and
Okay.
I just got really fascinated by this storytelling, and also but the whole aspect, of interviewing celebrities or artists, and filmmakers, actors, and it's just so interesting that there's so different people in this world, and
Yeah.
each of them has such a unique story, and each time I could learn something.
Absolutely.
And it's also therapeutic, but also um, very educative.
Who was the last interview that you did? The last person you interviewed that you
Well, it's
can.
actually funny, because this is because I am interviewing speakers for the Global Summit
Well, the summit in
in,
London. Yeah.
in London.
Yeah.
So I've got a list of 45 speakers that I have to interview
Okay.
by June next year. I've already interviewed about 20 of them. So
Okay.
it's so funny that today I'm on the other side, and it feels
There
so
you go.
weird. It
Strange, eh?
almost feels it feels so strange. It almost feels as if I would have to, ask you questions.
I have no answers. But let's be clear about something. You created Dental Social Hub. So there, you had to identify a gap in the dental community. Okay. I mean, there had to have been something that you saw in the community that said to you, you know what, we're missing a piece. There's organizations everywhere. I mean, it's, swing a cat, you'll hit another dental organization. But why Dental Social Hub? Where was the break in the wall that you saw that said, uh-oh, somebody's missing something? How did you recognize that?
That's my new baby. I just started with it, so I hope um, it will serve this purpose. But it really started from tech events and crypto events. I've got some friends in crypto world, and one of them creates such satellite events
Okay.
during uh, big major crypto conferences, and I was invited to a few of those in Amsterdam, and they also had a panel, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the atmosphere,
Okay.
the openness, the possibility for people to approach the other person and network, and that it was so, loose and fun, and there was a DJ, and there was people were even dancing, but um and I just started wondering whether I have ever attended something like that during a dental conference. There's obviously a lot of great social events that people organize during dental conferences, but those events, in my opinion, that they're great. Like, some of them have great locations,
Great themes,
live
sure.
music,
Yeah.
super themes, of course. But it will always be very kind of like massive, and there would not be a lot of opportunity to blend
Okay.
in a crowd and to network unless you are a part of the group or unless you know someone that knows someone, and so you kind of like stay in the same circle.
Sure.
Rather than that, you obviously have galas, but then again, you sit at the table with a certain amount of people. Um, there's not a lot of chance to meet
No.
others, and uh, that was the combination, I believe, of these two, and that's how I created Dental Social Hub.
So
Yeah.
how did you curate the energy and the tone for these events? Like you've just described it to a certain degree. I had so much fun at the gala in Venice. The problem was the music was loud, so I had trouble, that sort of thing. So we were talking, but everybody had to move away. But you've done this differently. There's a certain level of openness and authenticity to the formulation of these dental social hub events. They're different. They're distinctive. So how did you, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this, the vision for the meeting, like the vision for the platform, how did you figure this out to design the event so that the energy was different? It wasn't just another, well, while everybody's walking around with a drink and doing their thing and whatever. There was a reason for people to want to merge. How did you figure this out?
Mm, so I really wanted to create something meaningful. I really wanted to create something artistic, and
Okay.
I really wanted to create something fun. And I thought that the panel is a must because I want people to learn something from popular dentists, from their mentors, from their role models. I wanted people to have some fun, to enjoy the evening, to meet with their peers, and I wanted to create something that is different in a little bit arty way,
Okay.
So that's why I would choose a specific location. That way I would invite local artists, or there was also an idea to invite local wineries, or just to create something different. And so. Uh, I don't know if you're aware, but the very first I've only organized two events
Two of
like
them,
that,
right. Right.
and so the first one was in Split, the other one was in Sardinia, and uh, not both of them were a great success. Actually, the first one was
That's why we're
quite
having this conversation. We want to make them a great success because I think it's a
quite
spectacular
the opposite.
idea.
No. But like, don't get me wrong. It was a great lesson, and now I know there's so many things that I would do differently, but that's what I love about this journey as well. That you can make mistake, you learn from those mistakes, you meet people that will help you improve the next editions, and in the end, I just got a lot of amazing feedback, a lot of support, and I've met amazing people at that event anyways. So it's all for good. Nothing happens without a reason. That's been always my mantra. So I really wanted to create something different, and I'm still like very, very thankful for people that got engaged, and for all of my speakers that agreed to take part in the dental panel. As I said, Sardinia was a great success.
Sure.
I could not imagine a better event. Um, People were amazing. The audience was amazing. The panelists were amazing. We had a great location. Everyone had fun. I believe I closed the whole thing around 3 a.m. or like 4 a.m. And so yeah, I just I think there's not really a specific there is a specific vision, obviously, but my vision is like it's
It's
constantly changing.
formulating.
It's
Yeah.
permeating. But there was never a specific goal. And
So let's establish something. So you've done two. Let's just say you're working on the third. What do you need to make the third happen? What type of situation? Obviously, if you're working with organizations, they're going to want to run their own social events and such. But I was thinking about this when I was looking at this. I was talking to I forget her name, Katya from she's in Mallorca. She's doing the Nobel Women's Meeting. It was actually I think it's coming up in Barcelona. And Nicole Winitsky does this, who you know, you've met Nicole. And I was just thinking about how do you target an audience for what Dental Social Hub is? And it sort of seems to go along with the fact that there are organizations who are recognizing, whether it's young women or whatever, but the Young Women's Group, which is what Nobel is doing. But what struck me, for example, in Venice was you see a very large segment of the group of the 1,000 people that were there were very young clinicians, but they weren't at the gala, right? I mean, it's just not their social networking. They haven't reached that level yet. And then when I was reading this, I'm going, I wonder if DDS had said to Anna, could she run a social club for the younger, more new members of DDS? So it just struck me that there is piggybacking yourself onto organized dentistry to approach a market that really isn't always addressed, which is the young clinician who's just starting out, who doesn't know the names, but everything about what you're doing, the shadowing, the social club, it is such a nice way of altering the dynamic of the ancillary meetings of an event or an organization's event. It just seemed to be so intriguing. I know that you did it with Enrico at the AIO in Sardinia. You've got it, you're doing it with what's it called? Global,
Global Summit,
the
yeah.
Keanu Sean and the others. I just wonder if it isn't something that other people should approach you to do. It's such a unique way of dealing with things. There's a segment of dentists who are coming for CE that aren't either feel intimidated by or don't feel whatever they're at that level yet, where they're not participating in a way of doing what you're doing. They're not shadowing. And it's kind of hard to find a mentor if you don't go someplace where everybody's letting their hair down and just chilling and taking their tie off and putting their computer off on the side. And I think it sets you on a different path. So what do you need now to get DHS to evolve, to become a movement, a mentorship network, a global residency model? I don't know, just throwing stuff out there. What do you need to have to be helped to make this expand its scope?
I think I need people to believe that there's something more than only stiff gala dinners and receptions.
Listen to
I
you.
think
My goodness. There's a few people going, if anyone's listening.
No, there is a reason you mentioned young dentists not being not attending the gala, and that was maybe that was my main goal behind Dental Social Hub. That you go to the conference and there's usually a reception. That's okay, but it's usually in the beginning you don't really know a lot of people, and then there's a gala where, as we said, you sit in a closed circle. In between there might be some VIP parties or dinners,
Mhm.
but not everyone is involved
Everybody's a
into
VIP.
organization, not everyone is invited to those
Sure.
dinners, huh? And a lot of people wished they were. So that's where DSA, the DSH comes. And we want to create this place, this space and time for people that are not involved into organizations or they're not invited to special VIP dinners that can come and meet other people, approach their mentors, and just have fun. What I need is really to people to I need organizations that would be willing to let me in and
Okay.
to because I've organized this social events myself. I love doing it, and I know it's a lot of work, but if there is someone who is willing to organize something like that, why not let her let
Let me, yes.
let me and hopefully in few years there's gonna be more and more big organizations like that that will be willing to create something different.
Well, see, the thing is, obviously, you're targeting a different market or a market that isn't traditional, and you're trying to expand the scope of the market, which I think is interesting. And hopefully, somebody who's listening to this will see the vision and the logic. I think this is inherently logical, a lot more logical than just following the tried and the true. It's a different time.
You know,
Um,
it's a sorry,
no, sure.
sorry to interrupt.
No, no, go
Uh,
ahead.
it's a we're living in the times of social media. We're living in the times where people wanna be seen, wanna attend interesting events. They wanna be in, huh?
Okay.
Because social media creates this very exclusive world, and so there's this urge for people to be uh, to be in, huh?
Hmm.
To be a part of that exclusive world.
Sure.
And I also want to create this exclusive time for people to feel a little bit special and to attend something a little bit special, you know?
Interesting. I'm curious. You were talking about being shadowed. What was the most unexpected event that ever occurred from shadowing a dentist in a different country? What shocked you? What really took, I mean, I don't mean negatively, obviously, but what really surprised you the most about going to see some of these amazing people that open their doors? I mean, you went to New York, Central Park West. I mean, it's not just the epicenter, it's the Michael Appas and the Larry Rosenthals and all this kind of stuff. And you
So
chose to go there.
my first mentor was actually a professor of Michael Appa.
Really?
She
Wow.
was, yeah, amazing woman, amazing woman.
So what was the most like truly like what not caught you off guard? I'm not looking for like a sort of like a gotcha moment, but in doing this, like you described, I mean, these people all put their pants on one leg at a time kind of thing. What struck you when you talked to some of the stars? Was there something that really caught your attention that was different or unusual that you can remember?
Each person is different. Each person is very unique in their own way. Each person has teach me a lot of valuable lessons, not only dental, um, uh, but the lessons of life also.
Okay.
I feel that this project is kind of a career journey for me
Okay.
as well. So I'm very lucky to that these people let me in to their practices and agree to interview them. I don't know if you had a chance to watch some of the highlights of the interviews,
I've seen some of them, yes.
but these interviews are not strictly about dentistry. It's
Nope.
more about life behind the scenes.
Right.
outside the dental office, and how these people are as human beings, not as dentists, because we see their work, we see it on social media, we see it on their during their lectures. We know that they're great physicians, but what always interested me the most is how did they get there, and what type of personalities they have, or you have to have, or I have to
Right.
have to become one. And you know
Yep.
what's the funniest? And I think that was the biggest oh
Okay.
as you and a realization, epiphany for me, that I don't want to be like that.
No, it
That
requires a lot of energy. It requires a lot to sustain that level of
n-
emotional
you know,
intensity.
don't like there's nothing negative about it. It's only positive. And it's because all of these people are extremely dedicated. They work so hard. They um they live with dentistry. Um, they sleep with it, eat it with it. They spend a lot of hours in the clinics, uh, and all, all of these dentists that I shadowed are also international speakers.
Right.
They have their own courses. They're invited to a lot of conferences, you know. So, except from being a outstanding dentist and except from their technical work, there's a lot of work around, right?
Sure.
And so um, you have to have a certain, I believe, factor in yourself that drives you towards being this amazing clinician, amazing lecturer, and uh, it requires a lot of dedication, um, and a lot of consistency. Um,
But they let you in. They had to see something in you, Anna. They let you into that life. Before we go on, I want to very quickly, before I forget, we'll put it on the post. But how does somebody see the interviews? Can you quickly tell people watching how they can find your interviews? What?
Oh yeah, you can find all of my interviews, the highlights of the interviews on my Instagram, Anna Shadows Dentist, and on my LinkedIn. There's also a Instagram profile of Dental Social Hub. Um, I will also be posting the preparations and interviews. For the next event, for the
Yep,
upcoming
yep.
event in London in June 2026. So I also
Everybody should go watch these.
invite
They're interesting.
everyone. Yeah, I hope I will see everyone there. But well, of course, there's desire to create more. There's so much going on in my life. I don't really have time to put all of this material together. I will at some point, but I really want, because the highlights are only highlights, right? There's only 1 minute or 1 minute and a half of the interviews that I had with those amazing dentists, but I have 45 minutes per dentist of an amazing material, of an amazing lesson. So imagine, I mean, me sitting there and interviewing these people and this dentist, and just like getting so excited and so inspired. It's something that, yeah.
How do you package this? I mean, we're talking now about the feasibility, perhaps. Hopefully, somebody will offer the opportunity to organize an ancillary or a social event that's antithetical to the traditional and typical, which would be kind of interesting. It'd be kind of fun to do. You maybe get a winery or somebody in a city. You go to Prague and have somebody come up with, like whatever, and we'll support you to do it. But how are you going to market the young? The young people. I mean, they got a rough ride right now. I mean, I don't know about Europe, but in America, it's kind of tough. DSOs are everywhere. People are in debt. It's not quite the same in Europe. It's different in different regional areas. So there's a demographic consideration. But how do you have a certain fire. There's an intensity in you, obviously. You have a wanderlust. You have watershed moments in your life. Instead of going to Singapore when you were in dental school, you went to Amsterdam so you could learn Dutch. Not everybody's built that way, but there has to be a certain commonality, a thread that runs through people that you've identified. You've interviewed like a lot of people. You have to see some commonality, and that commonality is a trip switch to people who are getting fired up. Not everybody can do what the people that you are shadowing is, but you would never expect it. That's why there are people who teach and people who come to be taught. Um, what advice would you give to somebody who just doesn't have your fire, but would benefit? How are you going to teach them that what you're doing on their behalf, your trickle down mentorship, basically. You're being mentored, now you're mentoring others. It's an interesting construct. How are you going to convince them to participate? What is the kernel, the pearl in the oyster that you're going to identify for them to find?
First of all, everyone has this fire, has some fire, and
Okay.
we should just search of it for it. Everyone has something they're either good at or they have a desire to be good at something. And I believe with a certain amount of work and time, probably a little bit of luck, everyone can do whatever. And I would say that people really and young dentists especially they should not be scared of being rejected because there's a thousands of amazing open people that will agree to as the dentist that let me shadow them to come to their office and to share their knowledge really because it's a um I don't know. I personally don't know anyone who would be so close and now willing to share their knowledge. Really, I don't know if I'm so lucky or of if there are not any like this. But people are really, really willing to share their knowledge,
Sure.
they passion, and I don't believe there's no one who eventually would let you come to the office and shadow. So
But Annie,
we
you
can
weren't
find.
afraid. There is a thing. What I was like, a lot of people are intimidated or frightened because they assume that that's not going to be the case. But you weren't afraid.
But I also was rejected, huh? I
I'm
mean,
sure.
not maybe not directly, maybe ghosted, like
Okay.
not shadow, but ghosted, you know.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
But that's why I also created this dental social hub, huh?
Yeah.
So to create these opportunities for people to approach their mentors, approach other dentists. You know, a lot of people that attended those events are also famous on Instagram, for instance, you know. And as again, we live in a times of social media. We tend to know people from social profile and dentists from social media. So even there, you can approach someone, huh, that you look up to. So just don't be afraid. Just ask and. Definitely attend courses, go travel. I mean, as dentists, we have such a great opportunity to travel the world and attend conferences and learn. So learn in the same time. We should take advantage of this. We
Sure.
really should. It opens up so many horizon, that it opens up horizon, there's one,
Yeah.
and opens up a lot of doors. So that would be my advice. Never stop learning, and never stop, uh, and always be curious. I think that's what I love about myself, I guess, is that I I'm just super interested in what people do, or how people are, and not only dentists but also, um, well, basically everyone who I meet
But
in
that's
my
your
life.
nature.
So
It seems it's you did something today. It was called Chicky Tutor. It was one of the guys that you run with on the weekends. You
yeah,
convinced him to modify this AI-driven language app, which is absolutely freaking extraordinary. It makes Duolingo look like something from the caveman era. And it just seems to be what's driving you, which is fascinating. So to sort of put some walls around this and help move this forward so that there's a legacy pathway. It would be nice if people came to you and recognized what you could do to coordinate unique, distinctive, and engaging social events at their meetings. I think it would be awesome. Maybe that's your job. Maybe you'll end up being an event coordinator. Who knows? You know? On some level, maybe that'll go beyond just the skill set that you're learning in terms of your mastership. But I think it's extraordinary what you're doing, and I think it's remarkable on so many different levels because really, all you got to do is ask. The worst somebody can say to you is no. And,
exactly.
and then it's kind of like, okay, next. I mean, I think what you're doing is exceptional. It's an opportunity for you to not only open doors for yourself, but it's going to open doors and windows for a lot of people if they embrace your mission and your vision. So I'm delighted that we had this opportunity to talk on so many different levels, and thank Nilesh for introducing you. Obviously, Be Dental Expert is where this was going to be hosted. Masa Kagani is probably one of the most unique women in dentistry that I've ever met. She in her own way is the ultimate networker and beloved for it. Has done unique things even in her business where she's now setting up international programs in Mexico and other places. She's doing what you're doing or going to be doing with the AI meeting in London in June with the global group. All I can say is I hope somebody watches this, other than my children, who always say, "Oh, Dad, we'll check you out," you know. But I applaud what you're doing, Anna. I think it is um, it's your worldview is fascinating, and that's really what it is. You know, we all get locked away in our own lives. And you decided early on that wasn't the case, that your life had no boundaries and no borders. And so I applaud you for that vision. And I really can't wait. I'm thinking about going in June. I have to think to look at it, but I look forward to the next time I
Me
get to
too.
meet you. And
Yeah.
I hope to God that somebody watches this and says, I'm going to support the next dental social hub meeting. Wouldn't that be a treat?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ken. It was a huge pleasure talking to
Thank you,
you,
Anna. Thank you for
and
doing this.
thank you for this opportunity. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Thank you. And we'll talk soon, Anna. You take care of yourself. Be well.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye.